Hello there, welcome to the second episode of And Action, ITV's movie review show, where we give our thoughts on a range of movies from Hollywood's most iconic to the films that have just hit theaters. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at arguably one of the most iconic and well-known films of all time, and one that I'm embarrassed to admit that I've just recently watched for the first time, Jurassic Park. I'm joined today by Jurassic Park enthusiast Santino Mattioli. Santino, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
I can't believe it took me 21 years to watch Jurassic Park, but I finally did it.
Yeah, I think I watch this film like maybe 3 times a year, so I'm really surprised.
Mm-hmm. That's me with every Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I watch them multiple times a year. I should probably spend that time that I take rewatching the Star Wars movies to watch, other movies I haven't seen, like Jurassic Park. But
or writing your fanfic.
Oh yeah, right. It is what it is. So as I'm kind of ITV's resident Star Wars fan, I would say you're ITV's resident Jurassic Park fan.
Yeah, I have a weird amount of knowledge of it, and I have read the books, which helps a little bit, because, difference between the book and the film, and I'm sure we'll get into that today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was a book before it was a movie until you talked about it not too long ago. So that was surprising, but.
Yes, Michael Crichton's novel was huge when it came out. It was, and he wanted to write it from the kid's point of view, and then the publisher wanted him to write more of a scary take on the film, or on the book, I should say.
So you've read all of the novels?
Yes, the 2 that have come out, Jurassic Park and then The Lost World.
Okay, cool. We'll get into the novels a little bit later, but let's talk about the movie first. So Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg, 1993. It's basically the classic Spielberg blockbuster. He kind of invented the summer blockbuster with Jaws, and Jurassic Park is just another example of that. It was just a fun movie. It was a really fun and enjoyable movie. Not once when I was watching it the other day did I feel like the pacing was slow or that I was uninterested in anything that was happening in the film. Everything that happened, the build-up, the exposition, it all kind of paid off really nicely, and throughout the whole thing I was engaged throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, the beginning of the film, I think, is a beautiful analogy for the whole film. You kind of, they're uncovering the bones, and as you dive deeper into the movie, you kind of uncover the dirty side of this amazing theme park. They're completely floored the first time they come there and see the dinosaurs. But by the end of it, it obviously gets a little bit dirtier, messier, and I think that's a cool analogy with paleontology, because that's the first time you see Grant and is uncovering the raptor skeleton in the desert.
Yeah, and Jurassic Park kind of has all the elements like a blockbuster has. Like, it's got great action, especially for the time, and what they were able to accomplish with the CGI and the animatronic dinosaurs. We'll get into that a little bit later. But it had great action, a good story, humor, had some funny moments, but it also had some serious kind of heartfelt moments. And I think that's everything you could really want in a blockbuster film.
Yeah, I think this movie just hit home for everybody who saw it. I mean, as a kid, for me, I loved, Ian Malcolm. I thought he was hilarious. He was my favorite character. I had the action figure.
Nice.
We had the T-Rex toy, too. So I think it was like also that there was something in it for everybody, but it was well done in that way. It wasn't like something for everybody, and it was kind of a hodgepodge, and you didn't really know what you were supposed to feel when the movie was over. It was very clear, and I think that's just Spielberg, his directorial style. I don't think you ever kind of questioning am I supposed to be sad? Am I supposed to be happy? I don't know. You just know.
And kind of talking about Spielberg's style, with Jaws, obviously, is one of the most iconic movies of all time. Was the summer blockbuster. Tension and suspense was kind of something that he knows how to do really well. And there's that one scene in Jurassic Park when the T-Rex is approaching, and you get the water cups and the impact tremors and the vibrations of the water. He's able to build that suspense, and it's like, oh, something's coming.
Yeah, it goes kind of back to Jaws. How do you show the shark that was not working properly the whole time they were shooting the film? How do you show it without showing it? How do you show the dinosaurs without showing them? Because the suspense is the scary part.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs themselves are terrifying, but that anticipation is even scarier.
Exactly. That's what makes Jaws so interesting, and is everything. It's because the reason is the shark is so scary is because you don't see the shark. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know when it's coming. You just know it's coming. And that tension and that suspense is really makes that movie iconic.
Yeah. just talking about his other, tropes, Spielberg tropes. I think this film is kind of around the time he was kind of coming around with his parents' divorce. He kind of was looking at it with new eyes with his own marriage and his own life. So he kind of had this theme in his earlier films about absent fathers, and that's in Jaws. That he's always working all the time. He's kind of trying to he's losing connection with his kid. Which in this film you have Alan Grant, who's the main character, who kind of becomes a father figure by the end. At the beginning, he doesn't like kids. He scares the crap out of that kid with the raptor claw and makes a joke out of it, kind of. And then by the end of the film, he's this father figure, this protector for these two kids. So I thought that was really cool to see that. We went over that in a class I had.
Yeah. Nice. Did you ever study Jurassic Park in any of your classes?
Yeah, I took a Spielberg study, all of his films. So we watched this obviously as part of it. So another one of his themes that I thought was interesting from that that you kind of can pull is the suburban anxiety. This whole theme, and it's in E.T. a lot with Spielberg, is like all the homes are really pretty, all the lawns are well kept, but you get behind that door and there's problems at home.
Yeah.
In E.T., the kid, the father's not in the picture. That's another film like that. And then you even take that further to where, in that film, the house becomes this like Area 51, like ground zero for this alien encounter. And, the whole hominess of it is completely evaporated into this weird sci-fi. It's got the bubbles and the plastic wrap and everything like that. So in this film, I thought it was interesting. They talk about these, the Subarus, I think they are, the cars they have.
Yeah.
They're like a classic car that you would have in a neighborhood, but they've revamped them to be this electronic car for Jurassic Park. And I think it's interesting that the two kids are left alone in the car. It's supposed to be safe, and then the T-Rex is literally busting through the sides of it to get them. And I don't think that plexiglass in that scene, I don't think that was supposed to break. I think the animatronic just broke that.
Wow. But they kept that shot.
They just kept the shot because the terror was real.
Yeah.
You can't fake that.
It doesn't get much scarier than that.
Right.
But talking about the T-Rex scene, I was talking to you earlier today. I've obviously never seen Jurassic Park before, and I always had, but I've seen clips and everything. I always thought that the T-Rex scene would be like the finale, like the climax of the film. But that's like the first thing that happens with the dinosaurs. So when I'm watching the movie the other day, that really caught me off guard. But such a cool scene. And just the visuals were amazing. And that's kind of what I want to get into next is the visuals of Jurassic Park. And considering the time it was made, early 90s, CGI wasn't really a thing back then. It was a very new technology that not a lot of people knew how to use properly or whatever. And there are some instances of CGI in Jurassic Park, but for the most part, they went with animatronics, right?
Yes, and then they also did a thing that Spielberg is, praised for, mixing the two. You have the T-Rex when it first walks out of the enclosure, is CGI. It's in the rain, it's in the dark, which helps the, animation team. It kind of hides it a little bit with the darkness. But then as it steps out and walks around the car, then you move the animatronic in and you have this whole scale to the CGI, and there's like a weight to it where, you saw the CGI and then you move in the animatronic, and the eye it treats them the same thing. You just see them both, and they are the T-Rex. There's not, that's the animatronic, that's the CGI. I didn't even think I thought about that the first time I saw the film. I mean, now obviously I can't not see it because I study it, and I think if I saw it, at this age like you did, I would, notice it more. But definitely good for its time.
Do you think Jurassic Park would have held up as well if they went with all CGI at the time?
No, I mean just the capabilities of CGI at the time too. You think about like that scene where the T-Rex is breaking through that car, like that just wouldn't have had the same weight when it's ripping pieces apart, roaring. I don't know. I think for the actors too, I think it would have been a lot more difficult because I don't think actors at the time were trained to like, there's an imaginary monster. I think nowadays actors might be a little bit more like, okay, I get this.
Yeah.
But back then, especially the kids might have had a hard time.
Yeah, it's really impressive that they were kind of able to accomplish that and everything. And as I'm watching the movie the other day, there wasn't like any thought that came to me where like this movie doesn't look good. Like it didn't seem dated really to me, or I didn't have wasn't questioning the cinematography or just the visuals of the film at all. I think it held up pretty well.
Yeah, and I think it's just a testament that originally when they did the film, they did all stop motion animation. I think it's called Go Motion. And Steven Spielberg looked at it, and he just didn't. They weren't real enough. They weren't scary enough. They were claymation, characters. They were kind of cute almost. And if you watch the videos, I think the raptors are a little cute. They have like little tongues, almost like lizards, that come out of their mouth. And he's like, they're not lizards. They're dinosaurs. They're different things. So he went with the CGI after one of his animation team people created the T-Rex, and he said, give me that in broad daylight and we can make this movie happen, because at that point they weren't really sure what they were going to do because the claymation didn't work out. And they actually made the animation team, I told you about this earlier, they made them models that were like computerized, that they could move and actually stop motion all the dinosaurs. And I think that may be why it looks so real, is because you have like really good animators doing like stop motion work basically, but it's all computerized. And I would love to see that again. I don't know if it's just an antiquated technology and that it would take a while, but I really liked the look of it.
Now that was ILM who did all of that, correct?
Yes, I think so.
So they were the same people that did Star Wars and all the visual effects. So no wonder it looks so good.
And another thing from Star Wars is the score.
Exactly.
John Williams coming back. With Steven Spielberg for this.
Music. I mean, the main theme of Jurassic Park is iconic. And then there was one score in the movie when the characters walk into the, I don't even know what they call it, like the main building, I guess. And when I was listening to it, I'm like, that sounds like it could be taken out of Star Wars. That was a very John Williams score. And I loved it. Yeah,
I think he flexes what he's comfortable with, but in this one, I definitely think it being set off the coast of Puerto Rico, I think he adds a little bit of sounds from the area, more natural sounds, and more rhythms from that geographic area. So I really love this soundtrack. I have it on vinyl. I have a really nice vinyl of it because it's just a beautiful soundtrack. Tracks like Dennis Steals the Embryos is just so different than a traditional John Williams style too. So
but
I think that was
it still works in the film, and it just makes Jurassic Park that much better.
Yes.
Yes, John Williams does not miss. No. He quite literally is the best.
He's the phenom. I rank him higher than Hans Zimmer in my eyes, but probably because I'm such a huge Star Wars and Jurassic Park fan, and it was such a big part of my childhood, those sounds.
Kind of going back to Star Wars, just Star Wars wouldn't be Star Wars without John Williams.
And this movie wouldn't be Jurassic Park without the John Williams soundtrack.
So that just goes to show how good he is at what he does, and nothing would be the same without him.
Yeah.
So kind of moving into more of the movie and talking about characters and such, who's your favorite character from Jurassic Park?
I may be biased in this, but I love Ellie Sattler, but I think it's because I had a crush on Laura Dern when I first saw the movie. Yeah, I love that character. Paleobotanist. I always remember hearing that as a kid and being like, wow, that's so interesting. She studies ancient plant life. And I was like, and obviously she's able to diagnose the Triceratops are eating this weird thing. Like, why are they doing that? So I thought it was cool the way they worked it into the script. And she's a feminist. She's awesome. She's one of the only people who faces off against raptors toe to toe and survives.
Yeah.
So I really love the character, and the terror is real for Laura Dern. There's the scene where the T-Rex is chasing the Jeep, and she is just screaming bloody murder, and I love that shot.
Yeah.
She just actually looks terrified. She sold it really well.
Yeah. I thought all of the acting was super solid in this movie. I think my favorite character would have to be Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
Is his name, because as there was one part in the movie where he was expressing his concerns with Jurassic Park, I'm thinking, he's the only one who's thinking logically in this situation. Like, why is nobody else concerned that, they brought dinosaurs back? And he was the one that was really hammering it in that, like, hey, maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, in the book, his character is just from the beginning, they consult him mathematically to say, like, how much food would a brontosaurus eat? Like, how much food would a T-Rex? Like they kind of mathematically work all this out with him. And he basically has told them from the beginning when he was consulting with InGen, this is a terrible idea, and chaos theory will prevail, basically. And his love for chaos theory goes out through the whole movie, and I really enjoy his bits.
He was the only one with reason in that movie, it seemed like. So he was definitely my favorite. I definitely need to go watch the other movies now.
Yeah.
Because hearing you and Ricky talk about them earlier, it's like, okay, I need to go.
Yeah, it's a whole you know, especially in the second movie, Ian Malcolm's the main character in that one, and in the book too, he's the main character. So it's always good to see a beloved character come back. I think Laura Dern's character is the one who says, I was enchanted by this place too. I think she says that line where, you know, she was, you know, when they first see the Brontosaurus, like I said, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's an amazing sight to see these creatures living again, but by the end of it, they're disillusioned, you know, it's not what it seems.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'd like to go read the books too, because you're making the books sound super interesting.
They are available for audiobook
Yeah,
too.
so that's something to look into. So Jurassic Park's not the only film in the Jurassic Park franchise.
No.
They have 2 other ones that follow Jurassic Park before Jurassic World, correct?
Yes.
And then since Jurassic World, they've made 2 of them, right? And then the 3rd one's on the way?
Third one's on the way, and then I think they have, I don't know if it's just on Netflix but they have Camp Cretaceous, which is like an animated, it's like, I think it's for kids. But from what I hear on paleontology people's Instagram, they really like it because they really did a nice job in making the dinosaurs more real in the animation now.
What are your quick thoughts on the other Jurassic Park movies?
You know, I have a really soft spot in my heart for, you know, 2 and 3 just because I love Jurassic Park so much. 2 is really, really interesting. You know, Ian's got this PTSD from being on the island, and then all of a sudden he figures out his girlfriend's there, and he's like, he doesn't want anything to do with it until he figures out that the woman he loves is there, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna rescue her, and we're gonna get out. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way for him, but, you know, I love the character. I love him coming back. He's got a kid in this one too, which is interesting. But Jurassic Park 2 is good. It's a nice movie. Obviously, I love it because it's Jurassic Park. There's a baby T-Rex in it, which you can't go wrong with babies. People love them. So that one's great. And then Jurassic Park 3, that's where it kind of falls off. We were talking about it earlier. It's kind of a mixed emotion. You know, you're not sure if it's supposed to be like a sci-fi thriller. Like that's the way I see the original. It's like a science fiction thriller. Like it really like it's about like, you know, the genetically engineered dinosaurs and them scaring the crap out of people and eating people. Where the third one is more of like an action movie. They're always blowing stuff up, and you know, I think one of the first scenes is they blow up a plane, and that's supposed to say that they can kill a dinosaur, and it's like, well, I hoped you packed a lot of explosives because there's many of them. So yeah, it's the third one kind of falls off, and then Jurassic World is just a completely different monster. It's just like we said earlier. It's bigger, louder, more teeth. I think that's like the line from the movie.
I did see Jurassic World when it came out in theaters, but that was a long time ago, and I do not remember anything.
Yeah, that's the only time I've seen it. It was in theaters. I think I have a Blu-ray of it too at home. I think I did get that for my birthday one year.
And then they made a second Jurassic World movie, and then they're making a third one.
Yes.
Okay.
So they made Jurassic World, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and now it's Extinction or something.
Do you know when that one comes out?
I don't know when it comes out. I really Jurassic World was cool to see the park running, you know, and like how would it actually work, and then like, oh, people are losing interest. It's kind of like theme parks, you know, like you get a new ride and then people ride it a lot, and then it's like, okay, it's not scary anymore. So they want something newer and bigger, which I thought was interesting. So it's an interesting take on the films. I just think it could have been tightened up a little bit more. I do like it though in that one though. Jurassic Park is a thing. Like the whole universe.
They
is
build
still
off the story.
Yeah, continuous story, which I thought they were going to retcon the whole thing and just make a completely new franchise from it, which I'm glad they kept elements.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you have anything else you want to add about Jurassic Park or any of the other movies?
No, I really think we kind of said it all about the characters. Other than characters, my second favorite character is probably Muldoon, the park ranger guy.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
I think his first line is, "They should all be destroyed."
Yeah.
So I just want to give him a little nod of my hat.
So the big question, a rating out of 10. I mean, I can probably guess what you're going to give it, but let's hear it.
10. 10 out of 10.
Of course.
If I could give it an 11, I would, but I'm going to play by the rules today.
I think I'm going to give it a solid, let's go with an 8.7 out of 10. I like the movie. Yeah. Is that surprising?
I mean, I'm sitting right here.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Kind of made it awkward now.
I'm going to give it an 8.7, you know.
So what is the one thing that you would change about the film if you could change something?
That's an excellent question. You know, I don't know if there's much I would change. So now you have me questioning my score, my rating.
Just overall on your impression,
Just
though.
in my personal enjoyment, overall feelings about the movie, rewatchability and everything. Man, now you really got me thinking.
But I think that's an important point because like I put it as a 10 because
Right.
that's my childhood. That's like your Star Wars. It's like
Exactly.
that's your 10 out
Yeah.
of 10 film. So like
And I've only seen this movie once, and it was 2 days ago, and it's not like I have this extreme emotional attachment to this movie
Right.
like I do with the Star Wars movies. So
Yeah.
you know what? We'll bump it up to a 9 out of 10. How about that?
I can
Okay,
live
we'll
with that.
we'll go with a 9
We can
out
end
of
the
10.
show with a 9 out of
Yes.
10.
No further arguments need to be had. All right. So thank you guys for joining us for this episode of And Action. Really enjoyed talking about Jurassic Park, and I'm definitely going to have to go watch the other movies. So Santino, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Yeah, and we will see you on the next episode.